Hi guys. So the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi Sunak, was in Parliament today to talk about jobs, saving jobs, and the furlough scheme, which is extremely important to millions of people in the UK. So let's hear what he had to say.
And Mr. Speaker, there has been no harder choice than the decision to end the furlough scheme. The furlough was the right policy at the time we introduced it. It provided immediate short-term protection for millions of jobs through a period of acute crisis. But as the economy reopens, it is fundamentally wrong to hold people in jobs that only exist inside the furlough. We need to create new opportunities and allow the economy to move forward. And that means supporting people to be in viable jobs which provide genuine security.
Okay, so this would make sense. Yes, we have the furlough scheme. We need to end the furlough scheme. Now, of course, I'm not an advocate for ending the furlough scheme at all. It should be completely extended. It should be replaced with something else. But let's say, for the sake of argument, is he correct to end the furlough scheme considering the situation? Well, no, because the pandemic has not ended. So to end the furlough scheme is to basically end the water supply to put out the fire before the fire has been extinguished. The furlough scheme has allowed people to survive in their jobs, to survive, to pay bills, to live. Ending it before the pandemic is over is insane. Now, he will talk about in a moment about a replacement, somewhat of a replacement for the furlough scheme. But the problem is that this would be somewhat okay if the battle had been won, the pandemic had been defeated. Look, we have destroyed the pandemic, we have defeated it, it has damaged our economy. Now we have to pick up the pieces. Some jobs may not survive after, some jobs will. We need to support those jobs. That would make sense if the pandemic was over. But it's not over. It's still raging. So it's insane to actually end the support for people before the pandemic has been defeated.
As I've said throughout this crisis, I cannot save every business. I cannot save every job. No Chancellor could. But what we can and must do is deal with the real problems businesses and employees are facing now. In March, the problem was that we ordered businesses to close. In response, we paid people to stay at home and not work. Today, the problem is different. Many businesses are operating safely and viably, but they now face uncertainty and reduced demand over the winter months.
And a pandemic. Yes, they are suffering and they are facing reduced demand. Why are they also facing... Well, they're facing reduced demand because the economy is in a worse condition. But also, the bloody elephant in the room here, the pandemic is still raging. You know, we're looking at a second wave. There's also possibility of a third wave in the new year. You can't say, look, the economy is making some small improvements here. Now we need to take away the supports, or we're going to reduce the supports. He's acting as if the pandemic is over and we're just picking up the pieces after the war, after the battle.
What those businesses need is support to bring people back to work and protect as many viable jobs as we can.
But the government's position was to tell people to stay at home, not to come back to the office. Now, I don't know if he means come back to work as in working and employed, or if he means to return to the office. Because if some people are... The government, Boris Johnson, recently, a few days ago, said he wants people to stay at home if they can work from home. So if people are being convinced to stay at home and work from home, they're not affected by the furlough scheme. But businesses that have reopened after the government told them, look, reopen because we're going to convince people to return to the city centres, return to normality. Those businesses restarted, those businesses opened up again, they started to see trade. But if we're going to see a second wave and more restrictions, then those businesses will be affected and their employees will no longer be viable. See, the whole problem about this is this meaning of viable. I have a problem with his definition of viable. I think what he means by viable are jobs that will not exist. If you're viable are jobs that will exist after or at the moment. But we can't define that at the moment because we're still sitting inside a bloody storm. We don't know which jobs are viable. A job that could be regarded as viable today will not be may not be viable in a few months' time. So saying we're only going to support jobs that are viable means you're going to eliminate a lot of people who definitely, desperately need support. And if you don't support them, what's going to happen then? They'll be forced onto universal credit. Now, I don't want to be overly cynical here, but the Conservative Party's goal is to push people onto universal credit. Universal credit is a disaster. Universal credit is evil. It's immoral. It's unethical. Because its goal is to create a type of slavery. Force people onto universal credit, then create a situation where they have to take jobs even if they don't want to do those jobs, even if they're not capable of doing those jobs. And if they don't work hard in those jobs, or if they refuse to take those jobs, they're sanctioned and they lose their universal credit. This is the goal of the Conservative Party. And I see this as another step towards pushing people into universal credit. Take away the supports, such as the furlough scheme, reduce the supports you have for people after the end of the first wave. And if things go badly, well, we just force people into universal credit. This is my take on this. Maybe I'm being overly cynical. I hope I am. I hope this is not the plan. But once again, what I want you to take away from this is that there is a pandemic at the moment, and the Chancellor is acting as if it has been defeated and we're just picking up the pieces after the battle. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?